welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited. I'm going to show you a new mold that I purchased, and I'm going to show you a step-by-step of how I use the mold, what I thought about the mold, and also how the final product came out. It did turn out really well. I really liked it. I'll have the link for the mold in the description box below, so that way all of you can easily find it. If you are new to my channel, my name is Kayla. I make videos all about concrete, candles, and crafts. So if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to so you don't miss out on any of the new videos I post in the future. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I'll show you all the supplies that you will need other than the mold, and then also how much concrete you'll need and just the step-by-step process. All right, so this is the new mold that I purchased. I got it off Amazon. It is similar to another mold that I have that has the plastic surrounding it to help keep the shape, and then the thin silicone on the inside. I really do like this setup. Now it does also come with this little peg, and this is for a planter. So if you wanted to make a little drainage hole, then you can. And this actually comes along with the mold. And then it also has these little non-slip grips. You can either put it on the bottom of the mold, or you can use it on your actual container that you make as well to prevent any scratching. Now there are gloves that come in this mold kit. I do have my own gloves, but in case you don't, there are gloves that come with it. Now some other supplies that you're going to need other than the mold are something you can mix your concrete in, and I use these silicone bowls. They're durable and reusable. And then you're also going to want something to measure your concrete in, and then using a kitchen scale. You can just get these off Amazon. You can measure exactly how much concrete you need. You're going to want some protection, so as I said before, some gloves, and then also a mask while you're mixing the concrete. Now this is titanium dioxide. I have a video, I'll link it above here and below, on how to get your concrete white, but I'll also show you in this video. This is titanium dioxide I got off Amazon. Then you'll also want some water and some measuring spoons. This is what I measure the titanium dioxide with, and a stirring stick to stir the concrete as well. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and measure this out. So you're gonna wanna have your kitchen scale, and then I have my cement all behind me. That's the concrete that I use. It is a concrete mix, it's cement and sand. So I just have it behind me. I'm just using my solo cup and scooping the concrete and pouring it into the bowl. Before you pour your first scoop, make sure you do zero out your scale, so that way you're not measuring the bowl as well. For this specific mold, I did use 40 ounces of cement, so that worked perfectly, and there was not a lot left over. So after you're done, you're going to go ahead and add the titanium dioxide before the water. For this, I usually do about 1 tablespoon per solo cup, and I poured about 2 solo cups in there. So we did 2 tablespoons of titanium dioxide. Now, once you're done with that, you're gonna go ahead and pour the water in. I do a 3-to-1 ratio, but I pour slowly. So this part I don't necessarily measure, just because I have different dyes that perform differently. So usually with the titanium dioxide, I need a tiny bit more water than I do with my concrete pigments. But I just add a little bit at a time, and you want kind of like a pancake batter consistency, but you don't want it very watery. So just thick enough to where you can pour it into your mold, but not very watery. I will show you my consistency once I get it all stirred up. And one thing I do love about these bowls, you can pick them up and kind of like squeeze the bottom and get the clumped up concrete that's stuck at the bottom, and it really helps your hands. Okay, so this is the consistency that you want, just, not too runny, but still thick. So we're gonna go ahead and pour into the mold here, and I pour a little bit at a time, and then I do make sure the screws are all on before I start moving the mold around. And then I'll kind of drop the mold onto the table, and it allows the concrete to drop in layers. And I've just noticed that that prevents the holes that you can get on the sides. So I do it in increments, and then I drop the mold and kind of tap the sides as I go. So I usually let this set to about an hour, hour and a half. The thicker the mold, the longer you're going to have to wait. This mold, I waited about an hour and a half and it was good to go. So what you're gonna wanna do is unscrew the screws on the side. And then I found the easiest way to get the plastic part off is to flip it upside down, and then it'll come off, the base will come off, and then you can take the sides off. And then this little silicone part comes off really easy. We're just gonna pull this off here. Just a reminder to make sure your mold, you don't leave it inverted, otherwise it will rip. So here is the Octagon container. I love how it turned out. You are gonna want to sand the sides. They are gonna be a little bit sharp. Here I am using a 80 grit sandpaper that I just got at Home Depot. All right, so talking about sealers here, I did go ahead and seal the inside. I don't seal the outside. This is a hot topic in the concrete community right now. I would just recommend a water-based sealer. I'll put a couple on here that the community uses. I personally use Polycrylic. I am going to be trying out Earth Safe, which is one that a lot of people are actually saying they really like. If it performs well and I have no issues, I will be switching over. So I just want to provide a few options. Now again, you're gonna want this kitchen scale for measuring your candles. This is my digital thermometer. You can get this right off Amazon. And then this is your pitcher that you're gonna pour your wax in. And then I use these popsicle sticks to either stir or keep the wicks in place. And here are our wicks I get from Candle Science. For this one, I did use a CD10 and it worked awesome. And then our wick stickers. And then our fragrance oil, we're doing sea salt and orchid, which is a very popular scent right now. And I got it from Candle Science. It smells amazing. And I already have the wax in my wax melter. I use Golden Wax 464 from Candle Science, and it's already melted in there and ready to go. So while we're waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and put the wicks on. I like to put the wicks on while the wax is melting. It is already melted, but we're gonna go ahead and put the wicks on. So we're gonna do a 3-wick, kind of like a triangle. So all you do is take the wick sticker, put it on the bottom, and then it has kind of a sticker that you peel off on the other end, and then it becomes sticky, and you can place it inside of the container. So what I'm gonna do is you wanna place them kind of in a triangle, and you just wanna kind of eyeball it. Now this I placed right in the middle of that first side. You can kind of see how I placed it here. And then this one I'm just placing to the right, just like a triangle. And then our third one on the left. And I always press down on them when I'm done, just to make sure they stick. All right, So we're gonna go ahead and check the temperature of our wax here. Normally I heat up my Golden Wax 464 to about 180, 185. So we're gonna go ahead and pour some wax into our pitcher and then let it cool down before we add our fragrance oil. So you're just gonna place it on the kitchen scale and zero it out. And then you're going to go ahead and fill it out of this Presto pot. If you don't have one of these, that's okay. This is a double broiler system, this picture on the screen, and you can do this as well just with a normal kitchen pot in your kitchen. So we're gonna go to measure this out. For this, I did do 25 ounces. I had a little bit left, and I actually figured out that this container does best with 20 ounces. So when you're measuring out your wax, I would do 20 ounces. So before adding the fragrance oil, I always check the temperature. Usually I like to do anywhere from 150 to 160, just so it's not too hot to where the fragrance oil burns off and not too cold to where the fragrance oil doesn't bind with the wax. So we did 25 ounces of wax, and for this one I did a 12% fragrance load. Usually I do 10, but this one I was actually keeping for myself. I wanted a tiny bit stronger. So I did 3 ounces of the fragrance oil. Basically what I did is just took 25 ounces times 12% and it gave me 3. Now, when you're going to pour your wax out, I usually pour anywhere from 135 degrees up to 145. It's up to you, but you want to pour slow. I did speed this video up. This is not how fast I poured. You want to pour slowly so that way you don't get bubbles on the top. Now, as you can see, the wicks are not standing up straight, so that's where our popsicle sticks come in handy. So I just use the popsicle sticks to keep the wicks up while the candle is drying. And I leave this candle to dry. It took about 3 hours to fully dry, but you want to let it cure for at least 2 to 3 days. Now, once it dries, you're going to go ahead and clip the wicks. You want about 1/4 of an inch. And you can keep these if they're long enough and use them for another candle as well. You can actually purchase the bottom portion of the wicks separately. So sometimes with these, you can see with some fragrance oils, you do get craters in the top no matter how slow you pour. And I am going to show you how you can get rid of that just by simply a heat gun that you can get at any home improvement store. And I'll show you in a minute here what I was talking about the craters in the top. A lot of fragrance oils that have vanilla in the fragrance, you're gonna see that. So here you can see like little bubbles. It's just not very smooth on the top. And me being OCD and a perfectionist, I just need it to look beautiful. So this is a heat gun that I purchased. I'll put a link for it below. I've had it for the entire time I've made candles, 7, 8 years, and it has not died on me yet. So my tip on this would be to start in the corners and work your way around, because what you want to do is you want to eventually have the whole top layer melted, but since you're going to have little craters and little holes, you kind of want to use the heat gun and move the wax around to fill in that hole, and you'll see that eventually you'll start seeing the wax move here. As you can see, that hole is filling up right there. All right, so it is all dry. It only takes about 5-10 minutes after you use the heat gun because it's just the top layer. But as you can see, it is all smooth. And I ended up putting these little felt bottoms on so that way people can move it around and it doesn't scratch any surfaces. Again, find those on Amazon. If you haven't figured it out yet, I buy a lot of my supplies on Amazon. I just love the quick delivery. Alright, so that was the video on my new mold that I purchased. I really liked how it turned out. The mold performed very well. It was really easy to wash, and it left a very nice texture on the outside of the concrete. So some of my molds that I've had, if you've seen some of my other videos, it will leave more of a rougher texture, and this is just soft. So it's really nice, and I love the size of it. It's not too heavy, but it's still big enough to be considered a large candle in my opinion. And I just really like that I can do more than one wick. A lot of people like a few wicks, and I personally like the 3-wick look. So I would highly recommend this mold. I have the link in the description box below. And I also have links for all the other supplies in the video. If you have any questions, please post them below and I'd be happy to get back to you and try to help. If this video is helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That way I know this kind of content is helpful and you want to see more of it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.